very interesting because I feel like the first film, this is all my opinion, I feel like the first film would never have gotten made. It would have been called The Stand-Up Comedian or the Comic, and it would have made $7. And calling it The Joker was the only thing Joker about it. This movie was never about the Joker. There's a guy named Bruce Wayne who's 7 years old. He's not fighting AARP Joker later. It is not a movie about that Joker. It never was. And so I liked that a lot of people were like, well, maybe he inspired the Joker, and there are all these theories. I liked the first film causing conversation. What I didn't like was that it emboldened a horrible person. Just because he's weak doesn't mean he's good. Just because he's ostracized by society doesn't mean that that you also being ostracized mean you should root for him. I like that the second film puts you in a position to root for this guy, to feel empathy, all those things, and then goes, yeah, but remember he killed 6 people and then murders them. I think that the first film emboldened a lot of the wrong people. I think this film was the answer to that, and I love a sequel going, hey, we made a protagonist out of a piece of crap, murk him. And I don't love some of the things on the way there. I don't love the journey that it had to do with like the pacing and the tone. Not all of that worked, but the actual message of the film that we sensationalize violence and we don't give a crap about the normal person. We don't care about an individual. We only care about the spectacle. How well do murder mysteries do? How well does true crime do? How much do we love murder? How much do we want someone to be larger than life? This movie is supposed to be about the Joker to the audience, and as soon as it wasn't, they didn't care about Arthur Fleck, and that's the movie. The joke is on the audience. The Joker is Todd Phillips, and I think that's genius because we get to be on the receiving end of the magic trick. The Heath Ledger's magic trick was a pencil in the eye. This movie's magic trick is we got pencils in our eyes, and I think it's really interesting to look at the people that are mad at it. He kills people, and you're supposed to be like, yeah, this guy. The Joker should never have been a protagonist. The first movie should never have been called The Joker, but it wouldn't have made $1 billion. We never would have talked about it. 15 kids at LACMA would have seen it, but because it made $1 billion, we get to make a second film that actually inspires conversation. So love it or hate it, we're talking about it, and that makes me happy. That's why I wanted to do this live stream, because I didn't enjoy a lot of the journey there, but I loved the ending.
All right. Well, guys, do you agree with Coy in the live stream chat? Do you guys agree with it? Put in the chat if let's go from like 1 through 10. Can you guys put your score down in there between 1 through 10 in there? What are people and John? Is there anything that you wanted to add on specific? What did you think about the ending, John?
I like the ending and concept. It's an aspect of the movie I think I definitely want to see it again to fully assess. I like I like the actual building block of what it is doing. I'm not 100% sure if, like, in the flow of the movie, it is, ironically or narratively satisfying. But I do appreciate what happened there and the punchline that it is.
I didn't love. I liked. I just loved the ending. I give this. This doesn't even make my top 20 of the year.
I think I think what can be said about Joker versus Joker 2 is that Joker 1 is perhaps a more smooth and watchable movie experience, but to me, it's a more smooth, watchable experience with less going on upstairs. Whereas the second movie has more going on upstairs and is like a more rough and unrefined actual watch. If that makes sense.
You can tell they ripped up the script every few days, as Lady Gaga was talking about.
This has accumulated interesting value in my mind as I've thought about it, whereas the first movie kind of devalued in my mind after the first view.
I feel like the first movie is meta in the sense that we feel like we can understand the idea of being so ostracized. Like it's the first one was a commentary on society in an abstract way. I like that the second one is a commentary on society in a direct way because everyone wanted the Joker, everyone wanted violence, everyone wanted a color by numbers, and then when they didn't get that, they rebelled, and the audience is now the audience of the film. I love that every single person raging against this film is exactly what the film's about. That's so amazing for me.
Yeah, I enjoy that. I enjoy that too.
Yes, I think that things the movie is about is one thing. I think the execution and the journey there is a whole other conversation. And it's that whole conversation, it's that whole journey there that's the part that I found off-putting. I think the musical numbers especially don't work for this movie for so much of the musical numbers. I think a lot of them are flat. I think they take up a lot of runtime. I think a lot of time it's just them singing a song with no style. A lot of times it feels hollow. I feel like Todd Phillips is a weird filmmaker, I think what he excels at in filmmaking, in the drama department, is tension in a two-character scene. Take the Murray and Arthur Fleck scene in the first movie. Take the scene here with Gary and Joker in the courtroom. And I think that comes with his comedy background of understanding tension and release very well. What I don't think he is a great writer. I feel like I don't think Todd Phillips actually gives a shit about any of these subjects. I think what he likes are movies that do these subjects. I think he's drawn to that. In I love Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver and King of Comedy, but I'm not really going to understand the depth of what this society and sociopathic pathology is of these people. I'm more into what the movies are, not really into what the subject is. And I think that's where a lot of this falls flat. And it's like the same thing here with the musical numbers. I'm sure he likes musical numbers, but he doesn't really understand why to use them. I feel like the fantasy element of this, I was reflecting on it going, I think what one of my favorite musical numbers in here that I thought worked was actually when he's in the courtroom. It's the one where he like smashes the judge with a hammer.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because that right there is an actual transitional one that is showing a progression in his mind of where he's going to, not just another one of like, hey, I like Harley, I'm gonna go sing with Harley right now, you know.
Yeah.
So and I like the one where they break out of prison, or when they're trying to do the break out of prison after Harley sets the fire at the piano.
Ones where you feel transported into their minds
and connected to it all.
That was a good one, but so much of those musical numbers feel self-indulgent, and I don't think he really understands the purpose. When I think what could have really happened is a bit of like a Darren Aronofsky type of descent with the musical numbers where things are getting kind of interrupted. Like I like the concept of when Harley shoots Joker in his fantasy dream, like on the image on screen, that scene right there, the Harley and Joker show. But what if his fantasies like kept getting more interrupted and more falling apart? So that way, the fantasy just starts reflecting what's going on instead of okay, they're performing now. Now he's tap dancing. All right,
and
sure,
we just wait for longer and longer.
This means absolutely nothing.
That's absolutely my biggest complaint.
The pacing is the worst part of the film to me.
Yeah, it's I had a lot of issues with specifically. That stuff. Don't get me wrong. I like this is not one of those movies to me that I obnoxiously hate. I actually saw a comment on your video that I think is a very I wish I could credit the person on one of your videos. I forget what they said, but they were talking about the ending and they said that, and I thought it was like the perfect summary for what they were probably going for, is that when he gets killed, is that it's his shadow finally catching up with him from the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, what a great comment.
Because I don't think that person was real. And it's not Heath Ledger's Joker. While we're on that subject, Heath Ledger, that doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
I know that cutting a face, but like Harvey Dent's in this movie. Does Harvey Dent get blown up twice? Does he have quad face?
I know no one points that out.
I was just like, what? The Harvey Dent's over there.
No one points that out.
It's not a prequel to The Dark Knight.
Everyone's trying to do it. It's like, it's Heath Ledger's age.
Yeah,
So I'm like, Harvey Dent's right here.
He's
guys.
right
Like,
there.
Use that as your example.
That came
Two-Face.
that came from the same tool bag that the whole like, oh, the Joker inspired the death of Bruce Wayne's parents, and he created Batman. Like it felt like the same.
Leaps
cloth.
on leaps on leaps.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. That just drove me insane.
No, yeah, I mean, like the ending of it, I like the idea of his shadow catching up with him at the very end of it all. I like the idea that the evil lives on in of his actions, despite his contrition for it. It'll pass along to someone else. You know, like there's aspects to it that I like, but at the same time, I think. I wasn't a fan of the choice of him to be like, I'm not Joker. I personally wasn't a fan for this movie to do that choice.
I think the movie is about it, like his weakness as a person, and I personally liked that choice because it was him like letting go, and then we got to see our eye line, which is Lee Quinn, like Lady Gaga's us. It's the audience wanting violence and wanting him to be the Joker. Him denying that, then her leaving is what the audience is experiencing right now talking about this movie. So that moment to me was worth it because her being like, well, I'm done with you is everyone on Twitter, or 70 to 80% of everyone on Twitter. And like, again, I give this maybe a 6.5, maybe a 7, depending on my mood, probably about a 6.5 out of 10. Again, like but not love. But I think the ending and the conversation is worth passing that 5. Like, I think it's more success than not. But I hated the fact that we had to endure moments where, like, yeah, Joker, he's coping with song. Like, in the first film, the laugh is uncontrollable and it feels like a tick and it's something he can't control. I like the idea of song as like a balm on the wound and how it was consoling, but it doesn't let the pacing do any of the things you described. Would have added like an intellectual element to it, a psychological element to it. I like the fact